Welcome to Heavenly Nosh. We are on episode 3, part 2. So if you haven't seen part 1, go back and watch that first. We are exploring the Bible narrative through food. So we're looking at the story of God interacting with people throughout human history. And this time we are looking at the formation of the Israelite people. God set aside or set apart a people for his own family, to teach, to train, to shape, to teach them his ways so that they would multiply and be a blessing to the whole earth, and to model God's ways to the rest of the earth. And the good news of this was that all their neighbors could know this, and God could be their God too. So the Iraqis, the Iranians, the Palestinians, all the Syrians, they could know God in the same way as the Israelites. It wasn't something to be kept together and secretly, it was to share. So in the first part we looked at tabbouleh as that formation that God would multiply them and bless them. We also made some ful medamis, which was bean stew from Egypt, and it's about the wisdom of God, the law of God that leads to life. Now we're going to do a few quick things. I'm going to marinate some olives. So this is fruitfulness. God desired that the Israelites would be fruitful, that everything that they touched would multiply, that they would do well in their farming, as families, in multiplying in their wealth, and that they would share that wealth and that, trade and all that kind of stuff. So they became a very fruitful people. And I thought in the meze platter, it'd be great to do some marinated olives. Now, you can buy marinated olives from the supermarket, but you'll pay for it. So buy plain ones. You can do it with green or whatever the cheapest olives that you want to buy, and you make your own marinade. And you save yourself a lot of money, and people go, these are amazing. You say, well, So we'll stick some herbs on, and really, there aren't too many rules. What herbs do you like? So I'm going to put a little bit of cumin seeds onto it. I'm going to put a little bit of sesame seeds in there, just because it's interesting. I have some dried garlic, and it's slightly fried dried garlic. It's an amazing ingredient for your store cupboard because it's kind of part cooked. And I use it for marinades and all kinds of stuff, and it's really clever. So I'm going to put some garlic into the olives, and we're going to put a pinch of chili flakes in. I've got a problem with that, but chilies are really good in olives, and some mixed herbs. You can do whatever you want here. It could be oregano, it could be just fresh dill or dried dill, but I'm going to put in some mixed herbs, and then we're going to just add virgin olive oil. Use virgin olive oil. It's a condiment all in its own. It's flavorful, it's really, really healthy, it tastes great, but don't waste your money on something that just says olive oil. Just get vegetable oil if you're gonna use it for general everyday use, but virgin or extra virgin, spend your money on that because it's great for cooking. So I'm just gonna mix that up, and you'll be horrified really, because that's it. I've shared my deep secrets, but that's it. And you can kind of be creative and make your own marinades and leave it for an hour, leave it for overnight, and it just keeps getting better. So we've marinated our olives, and that represents the fruitfulness of the Israelite people. So the next thing that we're going to do, I thought that it would be good to have a dipping oil. A lot of Middle Eastern food is about dipping oil and being able to dip your bread and whatever you like. So I'm going to just put some dipping oil into this bowl, and again, it's the virgin olive oil. Oil is about worship, and God taught the Israelites how to worship, how to do loving him and expressing love to him, whether that be through singing or through reading of the Psalms. But there was a whole process of right worship and how to live in a right way, expressing your love in a relational way. And so worship was a part of that, a very important part of it. And as we think about Christians today, worship's an important part of our lives, our daily gratitude and thanksgiving. And the Jews, it was about their formation that they learned how to love God and be thankful and grateful, and give praise to him as the creator of the universe. So worship. The next part is flatbread, because the Jewish people were also called to be a missional people. And what I mean by that is a people that are outward looking, that are seeking to bless their neighbor. Jesus actually taught us to love our neighbor as ourselves. It's one of the core kind of truths of how to live in a right way. But the Jews were meant to be a blessing to their neighbors, the Iraqis and all those kind of peoples, and to share the good news of the kingdom of God, to share the good news of God's law, and that God is forgiving, that he's kind, that he wants to know them. And so I thought it'd be really cool to do that. And throughout the Middle East, bread is about something you do with someone else. You share bread, and you break bread with your neighbor, and you break bread sometimes when two people are coming together to become friends again, or enemies coming together, they will do it over bread. It's a very symbolic thing. Now, I've made this bread, and we're going to do a bread workshop in another episode, but this is fermented for, I think, 2.5 days. I haven't used a sourdough starter. It's just I let it ferment slowly. That's a much better way to make bread. It's better for your digestion, but it tastes great as well. So this is like a kind of a pizza dough. I'm just going to slap it straight into the frying pan, and it will go for it. And it's much nicer to do that on the barbecue, actually. But flat bread like this will cook under the grill. Actually, the grill is brilliant, but you can fry it, and you can do it on the barbie. You can put it in the oven. Might put a little bit of oil in there, and that will cook relatively quickly. And so we're called to share bread, to share with people that are different than us. And I think that's a really important thing. I want to think about a lot about how we live our lives. And the interesting thing about the formation of the Jewish people, it was a kind of a blueprint, if you like, for church and what we might understand as church today, or where Christians are creating community together. It's part of the story that we continue on now. And if you think about it, we're worshiping together, we're growing, we're being generous, we're seeking to bless our neighbor, to love our neighbor, to love God, to love one another, to live in a right way according to good values and principles, but not to be exclusive, not to kind of be a club that people can't join. And so these things mirror, even though this is the formation of the Jews, it's also the formation of God's people that's a kind of an ongoing thing, and something that challenges me still today. So my beans are still cooking. They cook long and slow, but they smell amazing. And I think this bread is ready to flip. Yeah, it's looking good. So we're coming to the end. It's an important part of the story that God formed the Israelite people. And they are integral to the whole outworking of that, even to the point when Jesus comes, and how we understand ourselves as church today. And the parallels and the challenges and the lessons learned all through the Old Testament are good lessons for us today. And I encourage you to read the Old Testament, read it as a narrative, read it as a story, and allow God to speak to you through that. Remember in my introduction, I said that the Bible is about Emmanuel, God with us, and God, the story of God with people, and in this case, the Israelites. So, let's put my beans, my full madamas from part 1, lovely beans. So remember that was a bean stew, and really tasty. And the bread. So we had the different components, the tabbouleh, we have the marinated olives, we have the dipping oil for worship, we have the beans about wisdom and the law, and flatbread, which is about sharing with your neighbor. And so, how do I get that out without burning myself? Look at that. Beautiful. So then we have the meze platter, a really tasty one, so great for people to come and sit around the table and to enjoy it, to tear bread off, and to dip it into the beans, to dip it into the oil, and to share a meal together around the table. But this is the Israelite people on a plate. Thanks for coming. If you liked this, share it, like it, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you next time.